This is Dylan. Dylan just got a new handgun in order to protect himself and his family. Dylan loves his new gun. But see, Dylan is now in a pickle. What should Dylan do?
Hi, I'm Mike, this is Dylan, and we are actually going to be doing a series of videos to try to help people understand weapon and self-defense laws. So today we're actually going to be going over duty to retreat laws. Dylan, since you did some of the research on this, what is the duty to retreat laws?
All right, yeah, so duty to retreat, in law, the duty to retreat or requirement of safe retreat is a legal requirement in some jurisdictions that a threatened person cannot harm another in self-defense when it's possible to instead retreat to a place of safety.
Now that interpretation, at least from my personal opinion and experience working security, seems to be pretty freaking vague given the circumstances, because like any lawyer, defense attorney, or prosecutor is going to try to finagle that in. It's like, well, you had a clearing behind you, you could have ran. So like, and even then we couldn't even find any IRL examples of duty to retreat being in the courts. So if you guys happen to have any knowledge on this, please, comment section is open. We are definitely willing to learn and try to at least better our own knowledge as well. So given our personal understanding of this, there can be some pros in my personal opinion, because one of the major things is that many people don't exactly have the training nor the, I guess you could say, the want to know when and when not to pull out their weapon. Like some of the training that I've underwent and what they tell us legally, like if somebody's got a knife in their hand, yeah, a knife is a deadly weapon. But if you got a big fence dividing you and that individual, you can't just whip out your weapon and shoot them.
Right.
They have to actively be trying to, or just on the cusp of breaking that threshold. It's just like, there was a situation that I was in where I ended up getting onto this young lady over at one of the gas stations I worked at. She threatened the guy to grab her gun. Now, what was bad about this is that she had a door separating her from the individual. And it's like, I can understand where she was coming from. Sometimes a threat is needed. But at the same time, it's like, in a situation like that, you don't shoot through the door or anything because you already have the door locked. He's not actively trying to break in. So it's like, there are some pros to that, but this is another reason why I also tell people to seek out training if they ever own a weapon. Because there are certain things like that that a prosecutor, depending on what state you are in, will try to use something like duty to retreat against you if something like that were to happen. Now, what are some cons that you can think of, though? Because I could think of several myself. But active shooter is out and you happen to be within their line of sight, right? Now, let's say you do have a gun on you, but due to how vague that interpretation of the law is by its definition, you're going to have people say, oh, you should have just let the cops handle it. And it's like in there lies one of the major issues. You don't know the athleticism of the individual, if they happen to have like a blunt force or bladed weapon. You don't know if you turn around and run, if they could actually catch up. Depending on distance and whatnot, like they could easily catch up. And not to mention, it's like you're already turning your back to an enemy, so that already puts you in a very dangerous predicament. So all that being said, especially we all know we can't outrun a bullet. So that being said, we have to, and this is where I get ticked off at a lot of the lawmakers, is that they don't think about the finer details like that. Because I'm sorry, but if I happen to be a concealed carry holder in another state that has duty to retreat laws, my personal opinion, if I know I can like minimize any casualties, I will take my shot to protect myself and others. That's just me personally. And it's like, and even then, it's like self-defense, if you or somebody else is go through grievous bodily harm or possibly even getting murdered. So
my real concern is overeager prosecution. I think they're supposed to be deliberately vague so that a jury and the case can be debated case by case. And so generally it's pretty easy to, like you just said, to prove that you couldn't retreat. And so as long as you make that case, hopefully more of the onus is on and responsibility is on the prosecutor to prove that you could have retreated and did not.
that is a good point. Like, I know that when we were going through our arms certification classes, they even said, like, and I've even heard it from a couple guys that I personally know that are cops, if you can fully articulate it without a shadow of a doubt, it was more than likely justified. And it's like, it's stuff like that, but it's like even the vagueness does scare me to some point too, because like again, a prosecutor is going to use that to their advantage in order to poke and prod and just do what a prosecutor does. And it's like, you and I both know that not every prosecutor is fighting the good fight, for lack of better terms. So
some of them consider it their duty to go all out.
Yep. So, tell me, what do you guys think? I honestly hope this series of videos reaches people like Colian Noir, Brandon Herrera, and many of the other gun tubers, because they are more versed in this stuff than we are. But it's also a really good topic of discussion to kind of help get your mind in the game if you happen to be a gun owner. So, that being said, my personal point of view, my personal opinion that every gun owner should do.
Or someone considering buying them. Or someone considering buying them.
Yeah. Always research your state and federal laws. Seek out further training. Train with that weapon as best as you can. And make sure that when you pull that trigger, it's clean. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, your life or somebody else's is in danger.
Given the circumstances, Dylan figures it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.